Welcome to St Martin in the Fields, and a very warm welcome to Great Sacred Music. Special welcome if you're here for the first time, or if you're joining us online. It is a great pleasure to hear the music of Bob Chilcott today, and it's an even greater pleasure that he is here with us and will introduce some of his own pieces in a few moments' time. But you need to listen to me first. Bob Chilcott was born in Plymouth and has had a lifelong association with choral music. He's a chorister and a choral scholar in the choir of King's College, Cambridge, and is a member of the King's Singers. He became a full-time composer in 1997 and has directed choirs in more than 30 countries worldwide, a little bit greedy. Since 2002, he's been principal guest conductor of the BBC Singers, and since 2019, principal conductor of Birmingham University Singers. Now it's our tradition, Great Sacred Music, to begin with a hymn that we all sing together. If you'd like to take the handout sheets, you'll find one of the great hymns in the English language, which speaks of the greatness of God and the smallness of humanity. If the kind of approach sounds familiar, it's because it's quite a similar hymn in some ways to Samuel Crossman's My Song is Love Unknown, written a little earlier in the 17th century, blending themes from Psalms 104 about God's majesty and 139 about God's tender concern for each one of us. If the name of the author sounds familiar, John Mason, it may be because you're very familiar with the name John Mason Neale, the Victorian hymn translator who was named after the author of this hymn. And he explores how one as flawed as I could join the heavenly choir, concluding that just as the widow offered her mite, so we can do the same to the angels. It has some of the great theological lines in all of English hymnody at the very end. Thou art a sea without a shore, a sun without a sphere. And those lines are inspired by St. Augustine's assertion that God is an infinite circle whose center is everywhere and whose circumference is nowhere. And the tune is so good it could have been written by Bob Chilcott, but it wasn't. It was written in 1958 by Ken Naylor, who was working at the time at the Lees School in Cambridge, and it's named, as many of you will know, after a field very close to the centre of Cambridge. What you may not know is that I walked across that field several times a week for a number of years when I was a vicar in Cambridge, and that's the most distinguished thing about this amazing hymn. We remain seated. The voices stand and lead us as we sing, How Shall I Sing That Majesty?
Let's Hello, my name's Bob Chilcott, and it's such an honor for me to be here at St Martin in the Fields to hear this wonderful group of singers sing some pieces by me. Thank you very much for inviting me, Andrew. It's absolutely wonderful to be here. I think the next song is called Walk Softly, this piece. I wrote it originally for a choir in Dallas in Texas, in a church called Preston Hollow Presbyterian Church in Dallas, big church, which I've been associated with for quite a long time now, nearly 30 years. And I think when I wrote it for their choir, they had 150 singers in the choir, and they were singing 3 services every Sunday morning. So that was... So they always had over 100 singers every week would come for every service. Quite remarkable, really. Anyway, the text is, it's from a book of Shaker poems that I found. It's a rather beautiful text. I'd not seen anything like it before. Anyway, it just says, when you come into church, walk softly. The next piece is a setting of words from the funeral sentences. I first came on them as a singer. There's a very famous setting of this by Henry Purcell, and it comes from the funeral sentences for Queen Anne that he wrote. Marvelous piece, actually. And Purcell, great composer, and I think for many composers, particularly in this country, he's a composer who we all look to, because he was a very, very connective composer, really brilliant at writing things that connected immediately. But not only that, he was a very technical composer, actually. And he used lots of different methods, of techniques, to make his pieces come to life. And I tried to emulate this in some small way. So there's an organ introduction of 4 bars at the beginning, and the whole piece is just based on the harmony and the bass line of those 4 bars, apart from a little bit in the middle where it goes to the major key. But actually the whole thing is just a 4-bar construction which is played around with a little bit. It's quite fun doing that as a composer, actually. Sometimes it makes you more creative, strangely enough. It also, for many people who compose, particularly who compose well-known texts, and this is a well-known text, as is the next God So Loved the World, which they'll sing in a moment. There's always a precedent for that, and that's always a bit of a worry when you're a composer. But anyway, this is my version of Thou Knowest, Lord, the Secrets of Our Hearts. It's a very deeply personal poem from the Book of Common Prayer.
Lord,
The third of this little sequence of pieces is a setting of the text, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, Jesus Christ, that all who believe in him should not perish but have everlasting life. A really powerful text set so iconically by John Stainer in his setting his large piece, The Crucifixion. And for many singers, it is the setting that everybody knows, and I've sung it for most of my life, actually, to be honest. And I can remember a few years ago, just at the end of the COVID pandemic, Andrew Arias asked me to go with him and a group of singers. There was a tour of city churches, and we went round with a bunch of singers and sang, sometimes inside, but most of the time outside. It was rather special because actually no one had been singing together at that point, and also we were allowed to be together. It was remarkable. Anyway, it was a lovely experience, but I'll never forget, we stood outside St. Paul's Cathedral where John Stainer was organist and sang Stainer's version of God So Loved the World, and that was I never forget that. That was quite an experience. I set this piece about 30 years ago, actually, for another choir in Dallas, in a place, with a church with a marvelous name called Lovers Lane Church. And it's in fact another place where they have a marvelous music tradition, where they did the premiere of the John Rutter Requiem there. And I wrote this for their choir, and it's a wonderful text. And I've realized as someone who was a singer, but also as a composer, when you set texts, you suddenly realize the import of them sometimes. It affects, it can be very affecting, and I found this text a wonderful text to set. But this is my version, and I look forward to hearing it.
So
Well, it's time for us all to sing again now, and we're going to do something we've never done before at Great Sacred Music in the 1,000 years since we've been doing Great Sacred Music. We've never done a choral setting as a hymn for all of us at the end. So if you're up for this, we're going to do this together. Adriana's going to play it through for us, and there's just one thing you need to remember, which is on the last line of each verse. You can find it on the 3rd page of your leaflets. There are 2 words that you need to repeat, and if you don't, you'll be in serious trouble. So in the first verse, the words are a child, and you'll probably get the idea now. In the second verse, the words are who loved, and in the 3rd verse, the corresponding words are so faint. You should have got the hang of it by then if you aren't familiar with this wonderful setting of this children's hymn by Bob himself, part of his St. John's Passion, which I think Bob wrote, was it 2013? Yeah, I mean, I can't quite believe that because it feels like it's been part of the canon as long as Stainer's Crucifixion, but it's my favourite of all of Bob's works, and this is my favourite of all the settings in St. John's Passion, so this is a treat. William Walsham Howe was a Victorian bishop in London's East End, known as the poor man's bishop, but most of all as the children's bishop. Published a book of children's hymns in 1872. This is his most famous hymn, where he considers the words of the first letter of John, chapter 4, verse 10, "In this is love, not that we loved God, but that he loved us and sent his Son to be the atoning sacrifice for our sins." So Walsham Howe looks at the cross through the eyes of a child and perceives a scene of wondrous, indescribable love. What the cross shows is not so much the significance of our faith in God, but of God's remarkable faith in us. We remain seated, but concentrate hard, and the voices stand and lead us as we sing. It is a thing most wonderful. Well, I think we all did jolly well. Now, we're coming towards the end of Great Sacred Music for this week. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. If you have, there's an opportunity to make a donation as you depart. There's a suggested figure on the back, but let that be a lower limit and not an upper limit for you generous souls. Next week, we're looking at Great Sacred Music at World Wildlife Day, and just as we've had Bob Chilcott with us today, next week we have the whole of World Wildlife with us, which will be a great treat. And do look ahead to Tuesday the 3rd of March at 6 o'clock, when our emerging artists are going to be singing Great Sacred Choral Classics Allegri's Miserere for Lent. And it doesn't get more miserable than that, and more beautiful too. So in a very special way to spend a Tuesday evening in March. I'm now going to hand over to Bob to introduce our final piece.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much to St Martin's Voices, to Andrew Eris and to Sam Wells for having me here this lunchtime. It's a pleasure to be here in this wonderful place and to play such wonderful singing. I just thought that hymn they just sung, it was the first hymn I'd ever written, and I realized how difficult it is to write hymns, actually. For lots of reasons, the words have got to be good, but you have to kind of try and write a tune that will be reasonably rememberable in a couple of verses. And you realize, and I realize as a composer too, that that we sing a lot of hymn tunes and we sing them wrong, actually. So you've got to kind of work out how you want people to sing it right. It's a bit like when you write, I've written a lot of music for children, and you realize when you write music for children that you've got to write it in a certain way instinctively, because children sometimes sing it differently, and you think, I wish I'd done it like that. You know, they kind of know the way it should go better than you do. But I realize too that writing a hymn, you have to get all the technical aspects of writing it right, and they're not easy. So I'm continuing to try and do that. Anyway, the singers are going to end with an arrangement I did a few years ago of a spiritual, and it's Every Time I Feel the Spirit. And thank you for being here today.
Chilcott.